Good morning, greetings, friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 32 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like acne, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds, recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and while some folks may call that a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we are your go-to resource for all things health and nutrition. 844-236-6010 is our number. We welcome your calls, 844-236-6010. If you have a comment or success story, questions about formulations, ingredients, questions about our Truth Skin Health products, which you can find at truthtreatments.com. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you want to purchase longevity products, call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470, or go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com, and purchase longevity products right off the website. Or you can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team right off the website as well. For a one-time $25 fee, you can be in business for yourself. One-time $30 fee now. You can be in business for yourself and help spread the word about the power and importance of a good nutritional supplement program, or just get your products at the wholesale price. If you so desire, click on the Join the Team link, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. All right, welcome back to The Bright Side. We have been talking about the elements, the periodic table, the elements on the periodic table. From a nutritional point of view, we tend to refer to the elements as minerals. This is the source of a lot of confusion. A mineral is not an element. The body needs elements. The minerals deliver the elements, but the body uses the little pieces that are carried in the minerals, and that is important to understand because it's so confusing, this subject of minerals. We're told some minerals are good and some minerals are bad, and some minerals are plant-derived and some minerals are ionic, and some are in the soil and some are depleted and some are absorbed and some are not absorbed. And it's just this daunting task to understand what the heck is going on in the world of minerals. And to make matters worse, the elements which make up the minerals, those come in different forms too. So it's just really a confusing subject, but it's an important subject, because everything comes from the elements. I confuse the word minerals with elements all the time myself, because everybody's always talking about minerals. So anyway, the elements, the sulfur and the and there's 60 or so essential elements, but the body is made up of around 99.8% of the body is made up of 11 of these 60 elements, and the rest are called trace elements. You need them in tiny, tiny amounts. The body doesn't use the minerals, it uses the elements, and they come in different carrying cases, delivery systems. Table salt is a classic example of a type of mineral that carries two elements. It carries sodium and chloride. And interestingly, sodium and chloride are both deadly toxic, but when they go together, you can put them on your French fries. Sodium will kill you. Chloride will kill you. If it was by itself, it's highly explosive. Chlorine gas was used as nerve gas, but you stick sodium and chloride together and you get one of the most delicious things you could ever eat. Think about that. If you want to understand how bizarre the world of elements is, just think about that. Sodium is toxic, chloride is toxic. You put them together and you got the world's most ubiquitous condiment. So anyway, sodium chloride Also, potassium chloride. Sometimes you could use that. They have salt replacements. When people say salt and low salt, they really mean low sodium chloride. That's another confusing aspect of the world of elements. For most of us, salt is just two of the elements stuck together as sodium and chloride, called table salt. Potassium chloride is salty, has a salty taste to it, and a lot of salt replacement sprinkles have potassium chloride instead of sodium chloride, because sodium is thought incorrectly to be the bad guy when it comes to hypertension. Incorrectly thought sodium is an essential element. One of actually the most complex of all the minerals is something called euangite. Euangite is known as the most complex mineral. It's got hundreds of atoms in its molecular structure. Sodium chloride is a mineral. It's got two. Euangite's got hundreds of atoms. That's how complex it can get. Sometimes, particularly the smaller minerals like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium bicarbonate. Sometimes when these smaller minerals go into water, they release themselves. They spread throughout the water. Those are called electrolytes, and there's a few of them. There's like 8 of them in the body. I think there's 8 of them. Sodium, potassium, magnesium. You've heard them all. We talked about electrolytes in the past. Bicarbonate. We're going to talk about sulfate, one of the lesser known or lesser appreciated of the electrolytes, the sulfur electrolyte. And these electrolytes are really important for the brain. They're important for the heart. They're important for the skin. And here's the thing about these electrolytes. They spread in water. They magically disappear in water. That, by the way, is an incredible concept right there. That's high-tech chemistry in action, putting your salt in water. When you put your table salt in water, you are witnessing one of the most high-tech biochemical or high-tech chemical processes, miraculous processes that you can imagine. We can't even understand how that happens, but you're watching molecules spread and intersperse amongst each other as you put your salt in water. And these things are called electrolytes. And because they're spread around in water so effectively, you pee them out effectively. You urinate them out effectively. Kidneys have evolved to keep that from happening for the really important ones, or to increase that happening if you get into too much. You get too much electrolytes because they're so electrical. They can get too much electrolytes. You can have some pretty serious health problems. Hyperkalemia, for example, or hypernatremia. Those are diseases with too much sodium or too much potassium and too much sodium. That can really cause problems. So the kidneys have evolved to handle your electrolytes. Unfortunately, we don't really get a lot of electrolytes in our food because we're eating food that doesn't have electrolytes more and more. Processed food is notorious for being electrically deficient, being electrolyte deficient. Cereals, for example. So anyway, a lot of us are suffering from these electrolyte deficiencies. Electrolytes are electrical. They give you energy. Chronic fatigue could be an electrolyte deficiency. If you sweat a lot, you can suffer from electrolyte deficiency, and that's why you get Gatorade. Gatorade is one of the worst ways to get your electrolytes because it's got lots of sugar in it, which are anti-electrolyte. Although they do put electrolytes in there. That was this guy from the University of Florida Gators. That's the name. That's their mascot. He was some scientist over there, and he decided that he was going to start giving the football team electrolyte solutions with lots of sugar in it, and they called it Gatorade. And then some big company, I forgot which company, some big food company bought it, and that's what Gatorade is. Beyond Tangy Tangerine is one of the all-time great electrolyte drinks. That's a secret ingredient. And I say secret, it's not really a secret, but that's one of the reasons why people get such quick results from the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That's why there's a lot of things in Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but that is probably the main reason why that's such an important and powerful product. It's an electrolyte drink. Vegetable juices are another wonderful electrolyte drink. Vegetable juices not only have electrolytes, but they also have minerals in another form, which we'll talk about when we come back from our break. There's electrolyte minerals, there's the minerals that dissolve in water, and then there's a second form of nutritional elements that you can get from veggies. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll return right after this. On the Bright Brightside Pharmacist Ben here. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open. We'll get your calls in our next segment. 844-236-6010 if you have questions about anything we're speaking about here today, minerals, elements, plant-derived minerals. We'll talk about that here in a second. Or if you have questions about our True Skin Health products or a health challenge you or a loved one may be dealing with, 844-236-6010 is our number. Don't forget to check out our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com and the longevity products, including the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the longevity business opportunity at on the websites brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. Okay, so we are talking about the elements, the ones that dissolve in water. Those are, they distribute electrical charges. They're called electrolytes. They give you energy, especially important for the heart and the brain. Probably the heart and the brain are the two most dependent. Everything's dependent. All cells are dependent on electrolytes, of course. But from a tissue or from an organ point of view, the heart is very dependent on electrolytes. They'll put electrolytes right in your blood, right in the heart for that matter. If you have a heart attack or you have some kind of heart issue, you go to the emergency room. Magnesium being an incredibly important electrolyte for the heart and for the circulatory system. Calcium, magnesium, and potassium and sodium are probably the most important ones for the heart, and they give you potassium pills if you have heart problems, and some diuretics. You got to be careful with certain diuretics because they'll cause you to lose potassium, which I find kind of ironic because they give you diuretics for the blood and for the circulatory system, but the diuretics they give you cost you electrolytes, which are really important for the blood and the circulatory system. Just a classic example of our nonsensical pharmaco-medical model. Magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium, bicarbonate, sulfate. We'll talk about sulfate here in a little bit. These are dissolved in water. They're called electrolytes. Then there's other elements that actually other elements, we'll say, that are wrapped around with biological material. What do you think does that? Plants. There are plants that can take in elements from the soil and wrap them around with biological material to form very, very small particles. Plants take in the elements, and actually bacteria in the soil do the same thing. They take in the elements, and they do their magic, and I say magic, and I mean magic, because nobody knows what it is. In pharmacy school, whenever they came up with something that nobody knew how it happened, and there's lots of things in the body like that, and in nature, they would go, OGK, only God knows. And OGK, how the heck these plants and bacteria and yeast and microbes and other living entities take elements like carbon and like hydrogen and like nitrogen, not hydrogen, but like carbon and like iodine and sulfur and selenium, various elements, and wrap them around in proteins, biological material, and they form these very small particles that are called colloids. Colloids are very, very small particles. In fact, a colloid is the smallest particle. And these colloids, these elements that are wrapped around with colloids by plants and other microbes and other living material are called colloidal elements. Sometimes they're referred to as colloidal minerals. They should be called colloidal elements, but nonetheless, now you know the distinction. Colloidal elements, colloidal minerals, they're these little pieces of things on the periodic table wrapped around by biological material. They're made in plants by microbes, by other living creatures, living entities in the soil, and we call them colloidal minerals, or sometimes we call them plant-derived colloidal minerals. And these plant-derived colloidal minerals have really interesting properties, different from the kinds of minerals, the kinds of elements that dissolve in water, that form ions. Those are called, these electrolytes are called, form ionic solution. They're called ions. An ion is a charged particle, charged piece of charged atom from the periodic table. So these ionic solutions are distinct from colloidal solutions. Sometimes you'll see people selling ionic mineral solutions, meaning ionic element solutions, and they have their place. But colloidal solutions are different. Colloidal solutions don't dissolve like an ionic solution dissolves. The elements in an ionic solution dissolve. The elements in a colloidal solution suspend. It's a suspension, not a solution. A suspension means the particles are hanging. They're suspending in the liquid, and that creates an entirely different electrical milieu than a solution. Those particles hanging structure the water. Colloidal minerals have a water structuring effect. Ionic minerals don't do that. Ionic minerals dissolve magically. Colloidal minerals suspend. They form colloidal suspensions. Sometimes I'll call them colloidal solutions, but that's actually not correct. They should be called colloidal suspensions. A suspension is a completely different entity. And these colloidal mineral suspensions have very fascinating properties, and they can be handled by the body really well. Colloidal minerals have a structuring effect. They improve the electrical environment around a cell, and they're handled by the body very effectively. And the colloids, the biological stuff that's around the element, has an antitoxin effect. That's why colloidal iodine is an essential nutrient, or is used as an essential nutrient, and ionic iodine will kill you. That's a classic example. By making iodine colloidal, it becomes non-toxic. When a plant takes iodine and makes it colloidal, it's non-toxic. The colloidalization process, the wrapping around a biological material, changes the toxic nature or potentially toxic nature of some of the elements. And they're handled by the body really effectively. They're handled by the intestine really effectively, and they travel through the bloodstream effectively. The human body has evolved to handle colloidal minerals from food, because for the most of our lives, most of the minerals we got in, the non-electrolyte ones, we were getting in from plants. They were plant-derived colloidal minerals. That's how the body evolved to get selenium. That's how the body evolved to get molybdenum. That's how the body evolved to get all of the essential minerals, is via plants for the most part, with the exception of electrolytes. Now, we've been talking about sulfur, and I've not forgotten to talk about that, because sulfur is amazingly important, especially colloidal sulfur. Colloidal sulfur, the sulfur that is produced by plants, it's made as a colloid rather than the elements that are found in rocks, ionic sulfur, is incredibly healing, has incredible medicinal properties. And in fact, colloidal sulfur is one of the most well-studied of all the trace elements in the body. It's been used for hundreds of years as for its medicinal properties, particularly for the skin. Colloidal sulfur is part of the formulary, or the armamentum, the weaponry of pharmaceutical medicine, and it has been colloidal sulfur for decades, probably for centuries, even probably since the days of Paracelsus in the Middle Ages. Paracelsus being one of the original pharmacists. So colloidal sulfur is super well studied, super important for the skin. It's important for health in general. It's absorbed into the body very effectively, unlike the non-plant derived sulfur, the straight mineral. That's not absorbed anywhere near as effectively. In fact, the non-plant derived mineral can be very toxic. The colloidal sulfur is essentially non-toxic. Remember, sulfur is a heating element. It doesn't conduct electricity. It's non-conductive, but it does store and release heat. Brimstone it's been called. It's been famous for its ability to hold on to and release heat. That's his claim to fame. In alchemy, they talk about using sulfur for this reason. It's a very, very fundamental element in terms of medicine, and a lot of that has to do with its ability to hold heat. It's found in the center of the earth, and there's all these pressures in the center of the earth. That makes sulfur super, super, super excitable and energetic. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number.
Fellow Patriots.
All right, we're back on the bright side. Pharmacist Ben here. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open for you. We are on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive pages, or archive page at brightsideben.com. You can also purchase longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to check out our videos at criticalhealthnews.com and blog posts as well. Just did a video on meditation with my friend Jonty, and that was pretty fun. I've been meditating myself for 30 years, and I'll tell you, I can't think of a health strategy that's more important than sitting still, watching your breathing, activating your brain's activating alpha brainwave states, and activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what meditation really is all about. It's not necessarily spiritual. It's about the body. And to the extent the body is spiritual, yes, it's been used by as a spiritual practice for eons, but just strictly from a scientific medical health perspective, nothing beats meditation for lowering blood pressure, improving creativity, pain relief, especially when it comes to migraine headaches and circulatory pain, neuropathies, etc. It's just an amazing, important health strategy that everybody should learn to practice if they're on prescription drugs or dealing with any health challenge. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open for you. I'll read a couple stories, and then we'll get to your calls. This is from the New England Journal of Medicine. Omega-3 fatty acids and dry eyes. 36 adults in the United States with moderate to severe dry eye disease for at least 6 months were randomly assigned to receive either a placebo or omega-3 fatty acids. And guess what? In several double-blind trials, oral administration of fish oil or the omega-3 fatty acids present in fish oil was moderately effective for relieving dry eye symptoms. Now, they say moderately effective, and that's pretty good because there's no medicine that's going to be effective at completely relieving dry eye symptoms. They can use drops, temporarily relieve it. But you're not going to change the biochemistry with any medicine in a beneficial way. But omega-3 fatty acids do it. Now, they say moderately effective, and that's great, but you should get complete resolution when you take care of your fats. And that's so important to understand because it doesn't seem like dry eyes would be a fat issue, but it is. It's an issue of fat malabsorption, and it's an issue of fat deficiency. And when I say fat, I'm talking about essential fatty acids and essential fatty vitamins. Now, there's probably other things that are involved, but you can do a lot of good things for if you're dealing with dry eyes. Seriously improve the condition, and maybe even completely resolve the condition by using vitamin A, by using vitamin E, by using omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids like your ultimate EFAs, and by making sure you're absorbing your fats out of from the intestine. Remember, it's not just what you take, it's what you absorb, and fats are handled through the intestine and bile and all the stuff we talk about here all the time on the bright side. So it's not just supplementing with vitamin A and omega fatty acids. And if you try supplementing with omega fatty acids and vitamin A and vitamin E, along with some other nutrients, and you don't get the benefits that you want, chances are good you're not absorbing. So you got to work on the digestive system. Once again, pointing to, indicating the primacy, the primal nature when it comes to health of intestinal health, intestinal functioning, stomach, pancreas, and gallbladder health, as well as probably the health of the liver. And remember, 1 out of 3 Americans is dealing with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that will totally compromise fat absorption for a lot of reasons. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's hit the phones and say good morning to Jeff in Wisconsin. What is up, Jeffrey? How you doing?
Good morning. Wonderful to talk with you. I'm currently now 61 years old, but ever since I was 10 years old, I've had just that history of the symptoms of redness, itching, blistering around.
Since you were a little kid?
On the toes. Yeah, since I was a little kid. I had my tonsils removed, and my thyroid was radiated. I still have my thyroid, though, but...
Well, say that you had your tonsils removed and your thyroid irradiated, did you say?
Yeah, I was. Well, since I had a lot of history of ear troubles, and the doctor, when I was 5 years old, gave up puncturing the eardrum. He says, let's do something else, beyond my expertise.
I'll tell you what you got. And I can tell you on the phone, anybody who understands the body can tell you got a condition called dysbiosis, which is extremely common. The good bacteria, dys meaning messed up, biosis meaning bacteria. Dysbiosis, messed up bacteria, particularly in the gut. That'll cause all kinds of immune problems. It'll cause fungus to overgrow in the toes and everywhere else. By the way, systemic. You can have athlete's foot inside your body, not specifically, but a fungal infection inside your body as well as on your foot. So you got to get your gut you got to get the gut thing going, controlled, especially when it comes to intestinal health and the probiotics. Now, I can tell you, just take probiotics, and you should actually just take the nightly essence, lots of it. But there's other things you're going to want to do to support the health of the bacteria in the intestine. It's not just enough to take probiotic supplements. You got to support the whole environment of the intestine so it's conducive to healthy and proliferating bacteria, a good bacteria. So first of all, you want to get on the nightly essence, absolutely, positively, 100%. And then I would also be enjoying fermented foods, fermented veggies particularly. And then if you have any food problems, you want to link those up to, or digestive problems, you want to link those up to foods. And that's where the food diary comes in. So you're going to be focusing on that center of your body where the intestine is via the right food choices and food elimination. That's the elimination diet. And supporting the health of the intestine when it comes to bacteria by using probiotics, nightly essence, and then keeping the environment in the intestine conducive to the health of those probiotics with fiber. I'd be grinding up flaxseed fiber every day, drinking it. You want to make sure you're having regular bowel movements, and that'll be an indicator of your intestinal health, a good indicator of intestinal health. You can also, the fermented veggies will also get you some fiber, and vegetable juices will also get you some fiber. So you're going to focus on fiber, you're going to focus on probiotics, good bacteria. It wouldn't hurt you to get on some bile salts, B-I-L-E, bile salts. There's a very important relationship between bile health and bacteria, and good bacteria in the gut. I would be using the bile salts from Longevity. They come in the ultimate enzymes. You can also get bile salts. You might also want to take lecithin supplements, Lecithin, lecithin supplements. Let's see what else. If you want something topical, you might try colloidal silver. I know my friend Dave in the Thumb, he's probably listening out there. He's probably screaming into the radio. Colloidal silver, and that does have a kind of a cidal effect. It will kill the fungus, but I prefer changing the milieu in the biochemistry of the body so that you're not growing excess fungus. By the way, sugar is a very important relationship between fungal infections and sugar. And there's a very important relationship between the wrong kind of bacteria and sugar. So you should be going ketogenic, and you might want to look up a book called I forgot what it's called, but the physician's name is Dr. William Crook, C-R-O-O-K, unfortunately named Dr. Crook. And he wrote a book called The Yeast Connection, actually, it's the name of the book, and there's a yeast connection diet. So I'd be taking a look at that as well. Focus on the gut, focus on the good bacteria is really what we're talking about here. Do you have anything else? You want any other questions? I can let you hold on if you like, or you can go.
I'll hold on for one more question.
Sounds good. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Got lines open, 844-236-6010. We'll be back right after this. All right, we are back on The Bright Side, talking to Jeff in Wisconsin. What's going on, Jeffrey?
Yes. In this past October 2018, I thought I looked like I appeared like I have a small inguinal hernia, and the doctor said, "Yep, you got one." He didn't say anything more about it.
Well,
I was wondering, and I remember in past conversations in your archives that you always big thing on one symptom of the body is basically kind of a big indicator about the rest of the body.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The body's kind of deteriorating. You said, I'm guessing you're what, 40s, 50s kind of thing? How old?
61.
Okay, you're 61. All right, so yeah, the breakdown process is beginning. It's probably been going on for a while, especially given the fungal thing that we talked about earlier. Start building up that connective tissue, first of all. Treat yourself like you have arthritis. Use arthritis strategies. It's the same idea. You probably do have a little arthritis going on, even if you don't recognize it. That's inguinal hernia is kind of like the same thing. It's basically the connective tissue breaking down in the groin area. It's not the end of the world, but it can get worse, and it can actually be fatal even if it gets strangulated. If it wraps around certain blood vessels, it can be a serious problem, like an emergency problem. So you probably want to get it fixed. There's no way to fix it without mechanically doing it. There's a tear in the fascia. It's not going to repair itself. Although before and after you have a surgical procedure, which are very routine these days, you want to make sure that you're helping strengthen the connective tissue so you heal well. So I'd be doing all the supplements, the glucosamine supplements. You might want to get our collagen recovery complex from truthtreatments.com. Make sure you're getting enough protein, essential fatty acids, do the healthy start pack. Definitely want to make sure that you're taking care of the digestive issue because the malabsorption that probably is associated with your digestive problems isn't going to help. So you definitely want to take care of that. Bone soup, chicken soup would be your best friend with the cartilage. High hyaluronic acid supplements. Yeah, building up that connective tissue in there will help you, in the groin area, will help you recover. You will probably eventually need surgery, and it's a lot easier to have it done when it's small, and it is somewhat routine these days. Hope that helps. I got a bunch of calls I want to get to, Jeff. Thanks so much for reaching out. On the bright side, take care, my friend. Let's go to Dorian in Virginia. What's going on, Dorian? Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Just calling because my girlfriend and I would like to have some healthy babies. So we want
healthy babies.
Yeah.
Okay. Is she pregnant?
Not yet, but
okay. You want to get pregnant, or there's ways to get pregnant. Infertility affects 1 out of 3 Americans. Infertility is a classic sign of activation of the stress nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. So the best thing you could do for fertility is before you conceive or you want to conceive a baby, you want to relax the body and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Everything you could do. In fact, we intuitively understand that foot rubs and baths and massages and sweet talking and foreplay and all those things are important for healthy sex. But really, what all that's about is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So anything you do to activate the parasympathetic nervous system preconception. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And then keeping the parasympathetic nervous system activated while you're making the baby is also important. So keeping the body, minimizing stress, psychological stress, and keeping the body filled with resources, nutritional resources, especially protein, good fats, zinc, the trace minerals. Basically everything everybody has to do, except now you got to do it for 2 people. So when you're pregnant, so it's the same idea as everything else. It's not like it's going to be anything particularly unique when you're growing a baby. But there are things like zinc and iodine that are very important, and omega-3 fatty acids that are especially important for the developing fetus. But I would be focusing on making sure mom is completely healthy, especially if she has food problems. All right, Dorian.
Okay.
Good luck with everything. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Minnesota and say good morning to Kendrick. What's up, Kendrick?
How you doing, Dr. Ben?
I'm doing good, Kendrick. I'm a pharmacist, though, but that's okay. What's going on?
Well, I had a comment that I wanted to make about what you are teaching on the periodic table of elements.
Okay.
Since I've only been listening to your broadcast for a few weeks, you might have already gone over this, but I was awestruck when I remembered this. This concerns Napoleon Hill, one of the, I guess, best-selling self-help authors of all time.
That's right. I love Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, of course. It's supposed to be the best-selling self-help book of all time.
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, it's a widely known fact that he was contracted by Andrew Carnegie to write Think and Grow Rich. That he was supposed to have collected information from the most successful people in the world and published these success secrets after 20 some odd years, and that's where Think and Grow Rich came from. But in the past few years, some information has been published that the original book that he wrote was not Think and Grow Rich. The original book was called The Laws of Success in 16 Lessons.
Okay, I had heard that. I actually had heard that. How's that relate to the periodic table?
How does it relate to it?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is that The Laws of Success in 16 Lessons, it's been published that he was persuaded, and I put that in air quotes, to take that book off the market and to replace it with Think and Grow Rich, because The Laws of Success in 16 Lessons had some information in it that some people didn't want publicized.
Like what? About the periodic table?
Hey, he had the periodic table of elements in The Laws of Success in 16
Is that right?
Lessons.
Are you serious? Can I get that, or is that book totally unavailable? Or do you know?
You can get it now. Like, I bought it a few years ago when it was like $50.
Yeah.
But right now, you can get that book. And at the time that he wrote the book, the table that he published had 80 elements. It had 80 elements at that time. Yep.
So they didn't know the other 10 elements. They didn't know the other 10 elements.
Right.
Now, if I buy the book, will the periodic table be in the book now, or do they take it out?
the copy that I have has a periodic table of elements in it.
Why does it? What's his thinking about that? Why did he put that in a success book? Just for curiosity's sake.
It must be essential information. It must be something that we are all supposed to know and be familiar with in order to be successful in life. That's the only thing that I can come up with.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that book, and I'll talk about it on the air. I'm gonna see if I can buy that book, and I'll talk about it. Yeah, he had a lot of good books. Outwitting the Devil. I don't know if you heard that one. Napoleon Hill's kind of interesting. It's a little basic these days, but back in the day, that was radical information. It's interesting that you're saying that that the powers that be decided that it shouldn't be out there. Sometimes that happens.
Well,
information is
that's what's being publicized.
Power.
Yeah,
what's that?
That's what's being publicized. I said that's what's being publicized. It's not really, that I'm saying it, but this is the actual facts of what happened, because he published The Law of Success in 16 lessons in 1927. Then that book went off the market, and he came out with Think and Grow Rich.
Hey, why is it? What do you like about the periodic table? Why is it that you're fascinated with it? Sounds like you're as fascinated with it as I am.
I just think that it's essential information. I mean, since the elements are atoms, and everything is made up, is made up of atoms. It's just information that, in my opinion, it should be a part of our educational system. That everybody that goes to school, public education, or whatever, should be taught about the periodic table elements. I think that we would come out much better than we are right now if we knew information like that, if we were taught information like that. And apparently Napoleon Hill or Andrew Carnegie and those other people who were running the world at that time, apparently they thought the same thing.
Yeah, enough to keep it limited, to keep that information limited. Hey, we're out of time. Thank you so much, Kendrick. I love talking to you, and thank you for listening to The Bright Side. I love it. That's really, I'm going to get that book. We'll talk about it on the air. Take care, buddy. Good to talk to you. All right, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side. Don't forget to check out our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com, and all the longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.